Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi brought forward amendments to the Sexual Offences Act that seeks to make voyeurism and revenge pornography criminal offences. As he piloted the debate on the Sexual Offences Amendment No. 3 Bill 2021 in the Senate today, he said a methodology for compensation in the criminal realm is also a part of the amendments. Mahalia Joseph-Wharton has more.
While he believes the amendments would be welcomed by most, Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi said there might be a need for a more thorough approach.
But I can say, Madam President, that this is quite complicated. There are some complicated issues in this bill. And I will flag it up front now. My own view is that this really ought to be referred to a special select committee of the Senate.
He said voyeurism deals simply with the peeping Tom.
This is usually a precursor activity from law enforcement's observation, where observing someone so as to get sexual gratification for himself or another person, or causing humiliation or distress to the person, knowing that you are observing the person doing a private act and that they do not consent.
The Attorney General said the sharing of intimate images without one's consent can be a visual recording or a still image from the recording. He further explained what constitutes as an intimate image.
An intimate image of a person engaged in a sexual act, the person in a manner or context that is sexual, or the private parts of a person. And in coming up with these definitions, I'd like to say that we looked at the laws from around the world, in particular the Commonwealth context.
AG Al-Rawi said the amendment proposes that the Magistrates' Court impose 2 years jail and a $250,000 fine, while at the High Court the penalty is 5 years jail and $750,000 for voyeurism and the offence of taking and sharing or threatening to share intimate images without consent. Mahalia Joseph-Wharton, TTT News.
Minister of Social Development Donna Cox, during her contribution to the debate on the Sexual Offences Act Amendment Bill, urged all members to give their unequivocal support to the amendments proposed by the AG. She said the amendments have been drafted to deal with current realities. She said the amendments are aligned to Goal 6 of Vision 2030, which speaks specifically to the protection and support of the family.
These amendments bring us in line with legislation enacted in the United Kingdom in 2019 and Singapore in 2020, and are consistent both with the Sustainable Development Goals articulated by the United Nations and the Vision 2030 National Development Strategy of this government. The Sustainable Development Goals target 5.2 and 5.3 call for the elimination of all forms of violence against women and the elimination of all harmful practices.
Meanwhile, opposition Senator JAYANTI LUTCHMEDIAL questioned whether Trinidad and Tobago's law enforcement agencies have the capacity, technology or training to effectively implement the legislation. As she contributed to debate on the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2021, she said from looking at media reports, it seems as if the basic use of technology to detect crime is not being done in this country.
In the Parliament and bringing a bill to the Parliament is the start that you want to see happening. Why does it take so long to implement the legislation? Why does it take so long sometimes to proclaim legislation? Why does it take so long to bring regulations if it is necessary?
She also recommended that those convicted of voyeurism or revenge porn should undergo a psychological assessment before they're sentenced.
We still ask ourselves what someone does to deserve these things. We still find it's a good bacchanal sometimes to talk about. And that's where the sharing comes in, because people like the bacchanal. And we have to, the only way we are going to have that cultural change is through awareness and through addressing some of the underlying issues